Hey.
Am I the asshole for not wanting my daughter to wear heels to a wedding because she will look taller than me? My 44 male, daughter, 16 female, has always been a nice girl that is a little shy and never causes any trouble. She is great at school and very talented in many activities. She has a group of like-minded, trustworthy friends, but has never been involved with boys or goes to parties late at night. My wife's niece is getting married, and she asked my daughter to be one of her bridesmaids. I thought she was maybe a little too young for that, but ultimately, I didn't protest. The issue is that as a part of her attire for the wedding, she is expected to wear high heel shoes. I'm only 5'6" tall, and I have a deep trauma related to my height because of all the bullying that I suffered for years at the hands of my brothers with the approval of my now deceased father. I only started to get better after finishing college. It took me years of therapy and going no contact with almost all of my family to be able to mostly leave it all behind. They fully made me believe that no woman would ever like a man as short as me, to the point I never had a romantic relationship until I met my wife at 25. But I am not still fully in control of my emotions related to this issue. In particular, I've never been able to stop the phobia I have towards women that are taller than me. My wife is 5'4" tall, and my daughter is currently 2 inches taller than her mother. That makes her almost exactly the same height as me. I never expected her to be so tall, but I have been able to remain mostly calm about it. I think knowing her since she was a baby and watching her grow myself helped my brain to humanize her and not seeing her now as I see other tall girls. Since she stopped growing a couple of years ago, I have been silently preventing my daughter to wear heels or any kind of shoes that make her appear taller than me. There has been no real problem with this because she has never had any serious interest in wearing those things until this wedding situation. I know that even just seeing her in front of me with heels, being taller than me, would be triggering to the point of making me cry, if not worse. All this will be especially terrible in a big family event like a wedding. Everyone will think that she is taller than me, and I rationally know most people won't care, but I think I might really have a panic attack from the embarrassment that will be happening in my mind. I tried to convince her not to wear the heels, but this time she really wants to and is not interested in what I have to say. My wife thinks that if it is such a problem for me, I should just not go to the wedding, but I think that is unfair. I don't like feeling excluded, and this would be practically as if they did exclude me because of height, which would feel especially painful for me. I've been talking to both of them about this, but it has proven useless. And now they have even started to act tired and angry anytime I bring up this subject. My daughter in particular says I'm making her feel bad and not allowing her to enjoy being a bridesmaid. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole for dating someone while my husband and I were separated? Me, 34 female, and my husband, 37 male, have been married for 5 years. He struggled with his mental health and addiction. I took the brunt of his struggles. He would tell me I was a bad wife and person daily, all while keeping from me that he was high. We separated a few times because of this, and when he finally got the help he needed, we ended up getting back together. He knows I was dating someone else. It was very public online. I answered all of his questions, and he answered all of mine, as he went on several dates with a few women, and it felt like we were finally in a good place. Fast forward a few months later, and he is now not okay with the fact that I slept with someone else, saying that he never did, which I believe. He may not have actually slept with someone else like I did, but I know there had to have been some kind of sexual activity. He says he's trying to get over the fact that I was with someone else while we were apart, saying I cheated on him and betrayed him, but he doesn't know if he can. Get over it. I love him more than anything and have done everything I can to show him that I only want to be with him, and things will get better for a few weeks. Then we'll end up right back where we started. I don't think I betrayed him, as we weren't together and didn't plan to get back together, but life brought us together again, and I couldn't be happier about it. There is just an edit from OP here, and it says, edit, I also forgot to mention that he's brought up bringing another woman into our bedroom, and while I'd be down with it because I'm very bi-curious and would love to try it, he's bringing it up for the wrong reasons, like as a way to feel better about me being with someone when we were apart. Am I the asshole for yelling at my brother and kicking him out of my house? My 28 female brother, 33 male, and I have a difficult relationship, all because I started dating his best friend, 34 male, 8 years ago. And for him, that was an unforgivable betrayal. And I know that to this day, he still thinks the same. That's why our relationship is almost non-existent even now. I apologized thousands of times for falling in love with his best friend and for not having been able to fall in love with someone else, but he never forgave me. We only see each other at family parties, and that's it. He didn't attend our wedding and didn't want to meet our children, 6 female, 4 female, 2 female, when they were born either, so you can imagine how much he hates me. A few days ago, we celebrated our mom's, 62 females, birthday at my house because hers was being renovated. Well, my mom begged him to come because she is sick and she doesn't know if she will be able to celebrate her birthday with us next year. And he accepted her invitation and went to my house. Of course, since he arrived, he made it clear that he was only there for our mom and that he was not interested in playing happy family with me or my kids. I kept quiet because I wanted my mom to have a good day and ignored him. After cutting the cake, my mom opened her gifts, and one of those gifts was an album of the most important moments of all of her children and grandchildren, something that for some reason she asked for a few months ago. And she was so happy with the album that she started looking at all the photos and showing them to the guests while remembering when she took each photo of us, her children. In that album, there were photos of my brother with my husband at their high school graduation. My husband was included because he and my brother have been friends since they were babies, so he is like another son to her. And when my brother saw them, he said something like, quote, "What a nice picture. No one would suspect that you would fuck my little sister a few years later." My sister, 31 female, told him to shut up, that he was being rude, but he didn't stop and kept looking at the photos to say things that nobody wanted to hear. So I got tired and asked him to leave my house. I told him that he was being rude and inconsiderate with our mother, and that I didn't want him there. And of course, he stormed off, and now he thinks that the villain of the movie is me.
Shock.
And the worst thing is that one of our sisters, 36 female, thinks the same thing, because she thinks that I should have kept quiet since it's my fault that he's like that. Am I the asshole?
Am I wrong for pretending not to recognize my parents when they try to reconnect? I was raised mostly by my uncle and aunt. My older sister developed a serious illness when I was 6, and my parents decided that they couldn't care for both of us, I guess. So they kind of unceremoniously dumped me at my grandparents and my uncle took me in. Like, didn't even explain to me what was going on. Just, you're going to visit Gran for a while and never picked me back up. My grandparents and uncle explained it later, and they were pretty livid at my parents. I've seen my parents maybe 5 times since then, and not at all for the last 9 years. I decided to stop having contact with them when I was 12, and since I was the only one reaching out, all communication broke down. It turned out okay. I love my aunt and uncle, and it turns out that they can have kids, so they've always said I'm their miracle child. I was just misrouted by the stork at first. I was formally adopted by them when I turned 18. I wish it had been earlier, but there was some red tape things that would have made that really expensive and difficult. I'm 21 now. I'm blown away by the fact that your parents literally gave up their 6-year-old child. That... I don't have words for that. I don't know how to explain. What the fudge? My sister passed away between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I made a trip back from school for the funeral. But I stayed in the back and left before my bio parents could talk to me. They called my uncle to try to talk to me, but I said I didn't want to, so he told them that I wasn't available at the moment. They finally caught up to me over Christmas when I went to midnight mass with my grandma, and approached me and tried to give me a hug. I did recognize them, but I pretended not to and just backed off and said, "Sorry, do I know you?" They said, "We're your parents." And I said, "My parents are at home," and went and sat down with my grandma. They sat behind us and I could feel the stare. And on the way out, they were like, "You really don't recognize us?" And I said, "Oh, are you my dad's brother? I think I remember you from when I was little." My grandma thinks they deserved it, trying to come back to me like nothing happened. But they wrote me a long letter about how hurt they were and that I should understand that they were trying to do the right thing and how they'll always be my parents and I can't change that. Well, legally, you did. So there's that. Other family members think I was too harsh as they're grieving, but I don't think they should get a pass just because they remembered me now that my sister is gone. They are 100% remembering you now that your sister is gone.
Hey,